Draft season is a magnificent time of the year. I mean, there is just news up the yin-yang. I mean, we're talking rumors, we're talking speculation. Everything is absolutely bananas, and I cannot wait for Thursday, round one of the NFL draft, because the Vikings have a decision to make. Who's going to be the franchise quarterback moving forward? We've talked quite a bit, okay, because that's basically all we care about. Who is going to be the new quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings under the Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah era? Well, who knows? Okay, at this point in time, we already know that Caleb Williams is going once. You can cross him off the list. At number 2, the Washington Commanders hold that pick. Now, there's been some speculation that maybe Washington's willing to trade out of that. However, that has basically come to a close, and Washington's new ownership has came out and basically said, no, look, we're sticking at 2. We know who we want. We're going to take that guy. So trading to number 2 is a little, iffy. The Patriots at number 3 is an interesting situation. They have said, look, we would be willing to trade out of that number 3 pick if the perfect deal were to come along. And the Minnesota Vikings basically have the best chance to get up to number 3. There are other teams that could do so as well, but the Vikings have the most firepower at this point in time to potentially move up to number 3. And if we don't get that, there's always number 4 where the Cardinals are looking to trade out of, and number 5 potentially if the Chargers are willing to trade out of that spot as well. But all you need to know, the Vikings are actively making calls, trying to figure out a perfect scenario or a way to move up in the draft to take their new franchise quarterback. So let's get right into it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. So on April 25th, General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah will be in the spotlight as he tries to make a deal that elevates his draft spot. Moving up the draft board into the top 5 is likely required to land one of the best quarterback prospects, with 3 quarterback-needy teams drafting early and many others just waiting for their opportunity. Now, we talked about it, right? The New England Patriots hold the 3rd overall pick, a prime position to select North Carolina's Drake Maye if Caleb Williams, which he's going to, go to the Bears, and if Jaden Daniels ends up getting drafted by the Washington Commanders, and those 2 go in the first 2 picks. Now, according to ESPN's insider Adam Schefter, it would be expensive to move up to number 3. But the Vikes have reportedly been trying to make that happen. Even Kevin O'Connell said that he sent Robert Kraft a bouquet. I'm not sure how true that is. I think he was just kind of playing around, joking a little bit. But he has made phone calls. Right now, it's just all up in the air. We have no idea. But here's what Adam Schefter basically said. The Patriots, slated to pick number 3, also have been fielding calls from teams. It would take a big offer for New England to move off that spot, knowing it needs to come out of round 1 with a quarterback. But the team has listened to these phone calls. And the Vikings, among others, have attempted to move up. I think that's very apparent at this point. Tried to last year, didn't work out. We're definitely going to try this year to make sure it happens. Now, some around the league believe the Vikings can get as high as number 3. Their preference, would be quarterback Drake Maye out of North Carolina, who, by the way, was also coached in high school by Minnesota's new quarterbacks coach, Josh McCown. Remember, we talked about it as soon as Josh McCown was signed. We're like looking at what he brings to the table, and we found out that, he did help coach Drake Maye in high school, which is massive because right then and there, you're like, oh, they have that chemistry already. They've already been linked up before. This would be a perfect situation and scenario for Drake Maye. Now, if the Vikings want to have the 3rd selection in the draft, it's going to cost them both first-round picks this year. Okay, pick number 11 and 23, and also most likely next year's top pick as well. Okay, now in addition to that, it would perhaps take even more capital than just 3 first-round picks if the Patriots really are wanting to trade out of there for the perfect offer or a big offer, right? The deal is costly, but Adofo-Mensah has clarified that there's no price too high if it lands a truly elite quarterback. Here's what he said. If you get the guy right, and he's the answer for 10 years, there's no price you probably wouldn't have paid looking back, okay? You have to go back to the odds of that happening, and that's the counterplay. Every GM is coming up here and talk, and they would probably say the same thing. Okay, obviously trading up if you get an elite quarterback and down the road 10 years from now he plays phenomenally, he's the best quarterback in the National Football League, you aced it. You absolutely hit a home run. Why would you go back? The price you paid was well worth it. However, there's the flip side. If he's not a franchise quarterback, if he's a complete and utter bust, probably going to lose your job. So there's some give and take there, right? Now, it is on the decision makers to determine if Drake Maye or whoever may be available is worth that kind of investment. But Maye checks many boxes. I think he does as well. From what I've seen and what I've read on Drake Maye, he's a pretty decent quarterback. There's some inconsistencies to his game, but from what I've heard from the so-called experts around the league, basically Drake Maye is a perfect guy to sit for 1 year and learn the NFL game, okay? To clean up those little miscues and those mistakes. You know, they talk about marrying your hands with your feet, trying to look more comfortable in the pocket. That's something that Maye definitely needs to work on, and sitting under Sam Darnold for 1 year would be fantastic. Sitting in this offense for 1 year would be fantastic. Imagine him year 2 in the system with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and whoever else we end up having on offense. That would be awesome. Especially if Drake Maye pans out to be a pretty darn good quarterback from which, all accounts is kind of pointing in that direction, but we have no clue, right? NFL is a much different game, much faster paced than the college game at this point in time, and probably forever will be that way. Just a little bit different, okay? You're dealing with men here. You're not dealing with boys, if you will. They're not technically boys in college, but you get what I'm saying, right? You're dealing with a monster compared to just a teddy bear, all right? That's kind of what it is. And having Drake Maye here would be fantastic. But right now, basically what's happening, they haven't attempted to trade up, or they probably have attempted to trade up with the Vikings I'm talking about. But right now, in this process we're looking at, is when these guys are making phone calls, when the GMs and the coaches are making calls to other teams trying to see what it might take to move up, all they're doing is trying to put together a perfect plan. Hey, let's say your guy is taken at number 2. Would you feel comfortable if we trade up to number 3? We'll give you blah, blah, blah picks, and then you go back, and then we move up to 3 to take our guy that we really want, and you guys can kind of take a back seat, kind of take a back seat and take whoever else is there. That's kind of what they're working on right now. If something happens, would you be willing to make this trade? That is very possible, but the Vikings are actively looking to trade up, and they're eyeing one specific quarterback. That quarterback being North Carolina's quarterback, Drake Maye. So you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like, and hey, subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.